PM Problems, the site dedicated to discussing and exploring common project management experiences. For more content related to project management, construction management, and general work-life balance, visit us online at solvepmproblems.com or smash those like and subscribe buttons by clicking below. This video's topic is the Construction Submittal Log, along with 5 best practices for maintaining it. Before we get started, click the link in the description below to download your free Construction Submittal Log template for Excel. When the average person thinks of construction, they think of the big picture: large machinery, giant drawings, hard hats, and lots of action. These are the coolest parts of construction that we see in Hollywood. But those of us working in the construction management field know better. There are a lot of documents, to-do lists, meetings, and emails needed to make those things all fall into place. In fact, the majority of construction management is behind the scenes and off the job site. Think about what goes into the building process: materials, equipment, documents, and drawings, just to name a few. On a larger project, there are thousands of files associated with these. So how are construction project managers supposed to keep track of all this? That's where the submittal log comes into play. So what is a submittal? For all intents and purposes, a submittal is any kind of document sent from one party to another for some kind of approval or commentary on a construction project. Not only are thousands of documents involved in a large construction project, but they're always changing hands. Project staff members of all kinds review these documents and make comments, ask questions, or request additional information in response. This back and forth can include several revisions for even one single document before it's approved by all parties. It's often the case that owner's representatives, also known as the design team, must approve of documents related to construction before anything can be built on the site. As every contractor knows well, performing work on site that is not yet approved can lead to huge problems, including accidents, failures, delays, and redoing the work. This is why every successful project must have a submittal log. A submittal log is a ledger that tracks every document involved with the project, including who put it together, when they sent it in, who reviewed and responded to it, the date they did so, and so on. Ideally, everything down to the nut and bolt is recorded in this process. All of that said, let's go through 5 best practices for creating and maintaining a submittal log on a construction project. Number 1. Organize the log by specification, trade, or scope of work. Think of any construction project, and you'll realize how many types of work every project involves. There are surveyors and engineers, earth movers and concrete workers, electricians and plumbers, the list goes on. This is why the construction submittal log should make reference to the type of work that each submittal applies to. In the submittal log, make note of one of the following for every submittal turned in. You can reference the written spec number, the trade, or the scope of work that the submittal applies to. Number 2. Track versions and revisions of documents. With every construction project comes a tremendous amount of back and forth on paper. A contractor typically submits a set of drawings several times before it's finally approved. Because of this, it's vital to track each submittal as its own version on its own line. This all begins with the first version submitted, revision number 0. Every version submitted after that should be noted as revision 1, 2, 3, and so on. Anyone who reviews the submittal log will be able to understand which document is the final one based on the latest revision number in the log. Number 3. Make note of who submits the document and who responds to it. On a large project, the staff consists of dozens of contractors, consultants, and representatives. In an ideal world, every party would understand who's responsible for submitting a document and who must sign off on it before it's deemed approved. However, we don't live in an ideal world. When enough parties are involved, this exchange of documents quickly becomes a confusing mess. Not to mention, as a project enters its critical stages, memories fade quickly. Therefore, it can be difficult to remember exactly who submitted what and when they did so. This is why keeping track of the party that sends in a submittal, as well as the party who responds, is so important. In your submittal log, Make note of any information related to the 5 W's, that is, the who, what, where, when, and why, for each submittal. Number 4. Understand timeframes, along with any rules and restrictions that apply to them. Everyone knows how critical the schedule is to a success or failure of a construction project. Delays on site are easy to spot. If the schedule shows a particular item being done and workers are still building, the item is delayed. But what about delays you can't see? These are on-paper delays, and they happen during the design and planning phases of a project. As you can imagine, the timing of these submittals, as well as the time it takes to respond, both play a role in the overall pace of a project. That said, here are some ways to navigate this process. At the beginning of a project, establish submittal deadlines and final approval deadlines for all documents that will be required. It's also important to know the terms of the contract, which include how much time the architect, engineer, or any other owner's representative is allowed to take when reviewing a submittal. Knowing this information ahead of time makes it easier to track and quantify delays later should they arise. Another good practice is to track the time between submittals as well. If, for example, a set of drawings is being revised, it's good to know how long it took to get that new set of drawings turned in. When it takes a long time to receive a revised document, the project as a whole feels the impact. Number 5. Track comments and status for each submittal. Contractors have many inside jokes about the craziness of the construction industry. One of them includes referring to a returned set of drawings as a bloodbath. Reason being, they're covered in red markups. These markups and comments are the official response that an architect, designer, or any other owner's representative provides for a submittal package. These comments are expected to be addressed in the final document before it's officially approved. When submittals are returned, they're given a specific status by the person who reviewed them. For example, some documents are returned revise and resubmit, meaning the contractor needs to make changes and resubmit the drawing for final approval. In other cases, a document might be returned make corrections noted. In this instance, a resubmittal is not required, but the changes must still be made before the document is considered approved. Here are some common reasons that submittals get rejected or marked revise and resubmit. The contractor may not have provided enough information, or maybe they didn't interpret the design intent correctly. It's often the case that the engineer or architect had design changes to make. Or maybe they didn't adequately convey what they were really looking for the first time. Or there's more coordination required between various details. Submittal comments and how well they're addressed can make or break a project. Specific comments may be the reasons for a project delay, or grounds for a change order, or the need for further exploration before work begins. This is why every submittal log should include a column for notes, comments, and any changes that arise between revisions, to delineate the specifics as to why a document must be updated. And that wraps up our list of 5 best practices for maintaining your submittal log. Don't forget to click the link in the description below to download your free submittal log template from our website. Thanks for watching. For more content related to project management, construction management, and general work-life balance, visit us online at solvepmproblems.com or smash those like and subscribe buttons by clicking below.